What's up, guys? This is Nate and this is MLB Take Line, and today we are going to go through what I think will happen with the remainder of the season in the American League. I'm going to give a record for every team, how I think they're going to finish, what I think the playoff bracket will be going into the season. So I'll hope to have a National League version of this and then a playoff version in both leagues in terms of what I think will happen with the bracket that I predict to happen. If you guys are new here, make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you comment your thoughts, be interactive. I'll get back to most of my comments. Leave a like. It definitely helps me know that you like this sort of content. And subscribe, turn on that bell so you know when I post more baseball bangers. Let's be ordinary. Let's start at the top with the American League East. In 5th place, I'm going to have the Baltimore Orioles. Not much to say on this one. I have the Orioles coming in at 56 and 106. They're currently 38 and 76. So that's just barely upping their season pace. They're on like a 9-game losing streak right now. It's very, very disappointing. The Orioles did make my top 10 disappointing teams videos. And yeah, after they took a little bit of step forward last year, they're right in like their 2019 type range this year. 2018 was historic how bad they were. 2019 was just really bad, and they're right in line with that again this year. There's just no step forward being taken yet, unfortunately. Now, the 4 teams in the American League East. I've never seen a 4th place team this good. But coming in 4th place at 90 and 72, just barely missing the postseason, I have the Toronto Blue Jays. Now, I've been crazy about the Blue Jays. Like, I've been saying it since before they came to the Rogers Center. Like, with how they got Springer back and just their amazing run differential, I knew that the Jays returning to Rogers Center at the end of July would be a problem for the rest of the American League. And that did sort of happen, and it's going to continue to happen. They're currently 9 above 500 at 62 and 53. And I have them finishing 18 over, so that's definitely going to up their season win percentage overall. But I still think it's just going to come up short because there's a lot of depth in the American League. Blue Jays do have a pretty easy remaining schedule, so trust me, it is hard to rank those 3 middle teams in the American League East. And unfortunately for the Blue Jays, I had to put them 4th, but trust me, I'll not be surprised if the Blue Jays and their incredibly loud fan base and eruptive offense get into the American League wildcard. 3rd place, going 91 and 71, claiming the 2nd wildcard spot, I have the New York Yankees. So I just think the Yankees, their run differential is pretty poor. They've blown so many games late. That's the other thing. I don't know what to make of how the Yankees have played this year because they have a really poor run differential that makes it seem as though they're not a fluke, and if anything, they should have a worse record. But at the same time, if they had just saved they've blown 22 saves this year. If they've just closed out half of those, then they would have the best record in all of baseball, or at least within like 2 games of that, I'm pretty sure. They would definitely have the best record in the American League if they saved half the games that they've blown. The Yankees don't quite have as easy a schedule as the Blue Jays and the Red Sox have. The Yankees have a very mediocre difficulty in terms of their schedule. They're currently 63 and 52, about 2.5 games back of the Red Sox for the 2nd wildcard spot. I just think this team is too good, and while they're so depleted right now, the reality of the situation is the Yankees have so many players coming back within the next week. In fact, currently, their IL team, their top 10 IL players is a better top 10 list than their top 10 non-IL players. But besides guys like Aaron Hicks, besides guys like Corey Kluber, you're going to get the rest back very, very shortly. Unfortunately, Severino took a slight step back in his rehab by getting scratched, which is very unfortunate because I'm going to Red Sox Yankees on Wednesday next week. If you're going to, comment below, man. Maybe we can meet up. That would be very fun to meet one of you guys. But the reality of the situation is that would probably be Severino's return to the bigs, which would be insane. A Tommy John return. It would be his first game since before the pandemic. To see him in the Bronx, that would be incredible. But unfortunately, he got scratched, and he's pitching his rehab right where I am, Scranton. Yeah, I live right by the Rail Riders Stadium, down that way, and Severino was going to pitch last night, and he got scratched. But you have guys like everybody, Torres, Urshela, The list is so they have Cole, Montgomery, Herman. They have obviously Severino, Kluber, all on the IL, and these are players that you expect to have back. Kluber looks like a September, perhaps like probably mid-September type of return. Hopefully he does come back. He is working his way towards that. The Yankees have so many players on the IL, it's ridiculous. Gary Sanchez is on the IL. Aroldis Chapman is on the IL. And I'm not just making these injury excuses because I'm a Yankees fan. The Yankees are so depleted. Teams like the Yankees, the Mets, have had to deal with injuries worse than other teams. And saying injuries are not an excuse is just, it's a horrible logic. I mean, obviously your team will be worse if you physically don't have the humans that make your team good. Second place, we have the Boston Red Sox. I am going to give the top spot in the wild card to the Red Sox, the collapsing Red Sox as of late, but they scored 20 in the one game against the Rays, and they scored 8 in the first game against the Orioles. They have two more coming up against the Orioles. Sale coming back. These analytical people online be saying Sale's the best pitcher in baseball. It's just dumb because he was from a time period and his most recent time period does not mean that he's just going to suddenly be the same pitcher. I think Red Sox fans should be happy if he gives 5+ innings a start with ERA 3.30 or below for the rest of this year. I think that should make Red Sox fans happy. And most importantly of all, perhaps delivers in a wild card game. That's where I have Yankees, Red Sox in the wild card game. The Red Sox have been collapsing lately. They're 67-51 though still, and they have an easy schedule. They're getting Sale back. I just think that this Red Sox team isn't quite going to collapse. And at first place, unfortunately, the Tampa Bay Greys have been running away with things, man. I have them coming in at 97-65. They have the 21st hardest schedule remaining, so also pretty easy. I have them getting a 2 seed in the American League. They have Nelson Cruz. Unfortunately, they don't have Glass now because they don't really have that much of a rotation, but the Rays just find ways to get it done. They're currently the top record in the American League, and there's a chance that they could potentially win 100. It's so unfortunate because this AL East we saw as a legitimate 4-team race about 2 weeks ago. And unfortunately, the AL wildcard race is insane, but the AL East race, the Rays have unfortunately pulled away, and it looks very likely that they're going to take it. Let's go to the American League Central. The 4th and 5th place spots, it really could go either way, but I have the Twins coming in at 5th at 70-92. That's just because they were a much better team than their record suggested, but then they traded away Cruz and Barrios, so it's going to be a pretty uninspirational finish in Minnesota probably. And then 4th place I have Kansas City, a game better at 71-91. They've had a slightly disappointing year. They're just not that bad. Those teams are currently tied. 2nd and 3rd place, Indians, Tigers, 2 teams that are probably below average teams, but that's a lot of intrigue there. The Detroit Tigers are 57-61. Yeah, they've been an above-average team for the last few months. Unfortunately, I do have them coming in at 3rd place at 76-86 because they have a really hard schedule to finish the year. I think that, what are they truly? I would have to look more into the numbers of like how legit some of their players are. But Detroit, probably a fairly decent baseball team, which is really cool to say. Too bad Akil Baddoo is out right now, the Rookie of the Year candidate. But yeah, Detroit 76-86, 3rd place. 2nd place, Cleveland Indians. They're currently a 56-58 team. I'm gonna have them finishing at 79-83. I don't think they're a good team, but they have a really easy schedule to finish the year. And coming in 1st place with a record of 96-66, that's where I have the White Sox. They're currently a 68-48 team, so I have them playing 10 above 500 baseball for the rest of the year. The White Sox are really good, arguably the best team in the American League. The seeding, I do have them coming in at 3 seeds, so the worst record of the 3 division winners, but those 3 division winners in the American League, their seedings have been really close for a while, and it's going to continue to be really interesting to see how those 3 seed up. So yeah, no wildcard teams, definitely not from the American League Central. AL West, Coming in last place at 57 and 105, that's the Texas Rangers. They've had a pretty darn uninspirational season. Coming in fourth place, squeaking above 500, that will be the Los Angeles Angels at 82 and 80. I think that with return of Mike Trout and obviously Rendon's out, which hurts. I just don't think the Angels are that bad of a team. Like, if anything, a rather solid team. Very decent team, let's be honest, but whatever, I squeaked them above 500. Third place, the Mariners, also 82 and 80. They're not a good team, especially without Kendall Graveman locking up all those one-run wins for them. They've never been a good team, terrible run differential. And the reason I just always saying this when it comes to the Mariners is because they were a couple of games back, people acted like they were a good team. That was never the case. The Mariners are currently 62 and 55. I have them finishing at 82 and 80. The second place team, Oakland Athletics. The A's are currently 67 and 49, and I'm going to have them finishing at 90 and 72. That's only 500 baseball for the remainder of the season, but when you think about it, it makes sense. They have the third hardest remaining schedule in all of baseball. That is very, very difficult, and they don't have Ramon Laureano for the remainder of the season. Also, a blow to the Oakland A's. So the Marte trade becomes bigger now. Listen, a lot of people completely bashed on them for the Marte trade. I don't know. It's definitely worth it for the Marlins. Definitely worth taking the chance on Luzardo, just giving up Marte. As far as the Athletics are concerned, I don't know, man. Like, there is some value in getting a quality outfielder for a playoff run. That's what people have been struggling to understand with that trade. But Luzardo is young and stuff, so you would probably say for that trade, okay for the A's, big W for the Marlins. But as far as the Athletics are concerned, Marte is going to become an important piece of that team. First place, Houston. I have the Astros coming in 98 and 64, locking up the 1 seed. It's very weird. The Athletics are only 2.5 games back, but there's no race in the AL West because it's just so weird. Whenever there's 2.5 games of difference, it feels like such a race. But I think the Athletics are still listed around like a 5% chance to win the division on Fangraphs. I have them finishing at 8 games back. I do have the Astros going off to claim the number 1 seed. They could get a little bit healthier over there in Houston. They're going to keep having Graveman. Again, those 3 division winners, Rays, White Sox, Astros, can go in any way in terms of their seed. But what I have happening is Houston 1 seed, and then a White Sox, Rays 3v2 ALDS. So what this does, here's what it does with the wild cards. The number 1 wild card, the 92 and 70 Red Sox. The second wild card, the Yankees at 91 and 71. And then the Oakland A's and the Toronto Blue Jays both finishing 1 game back at 90 and 72. Man, is it going to be a battle? I know people are going to be like, oh, you just put the Yankees there because you're a Yankees fan, but no. I could have put the Yankees there by a lot, but I think the A's, where they currently have a pretty good positioning, and they're usually a second half team. A lot of things suggest that I shouldn't pick the A's. I'm going to have them still finishing really close just because of their tendencies to be a second half team. And the Toronto Blue Jays are thunderous. They're coming in very, very dangerous. But the Yankees are really good. Like, give every team full health, there's really no doubt that the Yankees are probably a top 5 team. A Yankees-Red Sox wild card game is very, very much on the table. It is actually what I have happening. Does that mean there's above a 50-50 shot of it happening? No. The Blue Jays and A's are very much in existence here. But, man, Red Sox, Yankees would be insane. Sale versus Cole. Just imagine, man. That would be something special.